Do you think you can just push down the throttle and expect your car to go in a straight line? Well, think again. And with that, welcome back to HD Racing, to the multiplayer of Forza Motorsport. In this week's rotating spec series, we are driving the Formula 60s cars. And boy oh boy are these difficult to drive, but very fun at the same time, I gotta say. As you can see, I've picked the 1966 McLaren for this one. And yeah, I don't know if the other cars are all equally as difficult to handle. I expect it to be so, because I was seeing how everyone else was getting on with these cars. You'll be able to see in this race at Laguna Seca. We're gonna start in P9 and, well, everything is already gonna unravel in turn 1, as you'll be able to see. For now, quite a good start, and, well, just trying to get through this turn in one piece and already getting rammed from the side. And once again, I don't know if this guy is also getting pushed or what was going on, but take a look at this. 3, 4, even, or maybe 5 wide. There were so many cars next to each other there. It was ridiculous. The start was so messy, but I mean, it's fun. I didn't really mind, because like I didn't go into this race thinking I really want to win this. I just wanted to have fun. And I think that is what these cars are really good at. As I said, they are difficult to drive, so I would urge you, if you want to try this out, give yourself enough time to practice. Because if you haven't driven these before, like me, you really need some time to adjust, because it's not as simple as the modern race cars that we are normally able to drive. These things are even difficult to control on a straight sometimes, as you'll be able to see right here, for example. As I go into the corkscrew for the first time, making up some places that I lost, and I was a little bit concerned with the proximity arrow here, but it just seems to be stuck. I don't know if that's a bug. You can let me know if you had that before. And now take a look at what's going on in front of me. This guy, I don't know what happened to him, if he got a massive oversteer moment, but I really didn't expect him to stick it the way he did. And well, he basically was turning in a way that put him off the track on the right. So yeah, if I had known him, maybe he would have slowed down like that. I couldn't really react anymore, and find myself now back in P20. That is not where I wanted to be, even though I just wanted to have fun in this race. I still want to kind of compete a little bit, so let's see if we can do something about that. So you can see, even going over crests, this car really is a handful, and you definitely can struggle quite a lot. What I also would say, definitely put TC on, at least at some level. Even though these cars maybe didn't have TC back then, probably didn't, but again, if you're not a very, very seasoned driver, you're gonna struggle a lot if you don't have traction control, at least at sport level, like I have here at the moment. Maybe can even go to on, definitely no shame in that in my opinion. But yeah, even with traction control, these cars are difficult to handle. You need to be really careful on throttle. That's, I think, the main thing, because they just have too much power for what the tires have in terms of grip. It's like really ridiculous. And sometimes just going down a straight and the car just decides to go away from you. Or in turns as well, that can happen. I wasn't quite sure if there was a push from behind or if that was just me. Could have been both, couldn't really tell, and replays aren't working sadly at the moment, so couldn't really check. As there is a board that confused me a little bit, and I kind of messed up that corner as well. But yeah, still trying to get some places back in this race. And well, I definitely did have a lot of fun in catching up to the guys in front, and you're gonna see there is gonna be some interesting fighting going on as well, as I completely mess up going over the crest and lose the car, go off track on the right side, and that happened to me quite a lot. I'm really not used to that. In all the other race cars I've driven around this track, you can just go flat out into or to the braking zone of turn 1. In these cars you really need to be careful and sometimes need to lift. As we're jumping ahead a little bit here, we are now in lap number 4. And yeah, definitely have been catching up to the guys in front, and I'm now trying to get by this guy here that, well, also seems to struggle a little bit over this crest, but not as much as myself. You can also see I, in the meantime, picked up a little bit of a penalty. That was because of, well, extending before turn number 1 like I did before. As I said, did that multiple times, and one time it even gave me that 0.4 second penalty. But what can you do? But yeah, these things are definitely the most difficult cars that I've driven so far in this game, as one guy goes off track. I don't know if there was contact in front, but I also managed to, well, overtake him for now at least. I try to just cover the inside here, and I can still see him in my mirror, but now he seems to have fallen back a little, so job done, overtake complete, and we are now in P14. Also interesting with these cars and the race length that we have this week is that even though they are stock cars, they definitely degrade to quite a decent amount, and I saw that in practice already and decided, well, that's just gonna be at least one pit stop. And looking at now, we are in lap number 5, and I was like, let's just come in now. And I think other people in front also had the same idea. The guy in front definitely has a weird oversteer moment and then is quite slow, but also then goes to the pits as I almost lose it and head into the pit wall. Luckily not quite, but yeah, as you can see here, still stock tires. You don't have anything else that you can take on this car. And yeah, I don't know if these are the tires that were used back then, or something similar at least, in game terms here, but this is definitely a struggle. If people actually had to race these cars in real life and they were this difficult to handle, oh boy, the drivers back then were definitely very, very good. So yeah, coming out of the pits, this is also really weird in the new Forza. Some pit exits they just don't use. Like normally the pit exit here on Laguna is wrapping all the way around turn number 1. But the game just spits you out onto the racing line, and if there's someone coming, you can't even do anything about it. I've noticed that in a couple of tracks already now. Not quite sure what the decision there is, why they did this. Maybe because they didn't really manage to figure out how to do that correctly with their track limit system. I'm not quite sure, but it seems weird in some places on some tracks. But yeah, we are now in P17, but some people in front haven't pitted yet, so there's still gonna be some places to be gained, as also, well, there's quite a lot going on in front right now. So let's see how we get on with this pack of 3 cars in front. The red one, I definitely was able to get a better exit than him, and I'm now managing to pull ahead, but this was always a scary portion. Like braking for the corkscrew here was definitely something I had to practice, because you can't take it like you would normally, like in a GT or a touring car. You really need to be careful, because over the crest the car gets so light that you can lose it very, very easily. But so far we've managed, and we are on track to, well, getting further, as we are cutting ahead a little bit again in lap number 7, and the guy in front has a little bit of an off-track moment and goes wide here, so I try to stick it on the inside, also go on the right of this guy. We have a little bit of a touch, but nothing major. Well, just trying to keep it together here. As I said, these cars are difficult, and I mean, you can probably see that from my steering wheel movements, which is also why I used this camera, so we can see what I was doing when I was driving this race. You definitely have to correct and counter steer quite a lot. Like even on the straight, when there's a little bit of a crest, you can see here, and even over this crest, you definitely have to work that. And also the throttle, that is also something I touched on a little bit already. These cars, definitely you can't just push down the throttle even if you're on a straight and expect the car to just go straight and accelerate. Sometimes you just have to feather the throttle and maybe be at like half or 3/4 throttle, even on a straight. And as I said, you need to be careful, even with traction control on. You can take a look at the bottom right in the speedometer. You can see the blue bar, that's my throttle input, and you can see how much I have to lift sometimes, or how much I will hold back on throttle while even going straight. And you can see here over this crest, for example, lifting. We are going now into the last lap, and I managed to overtake quite a few more guys that were also pitting, and some that were just had a little bit of an off-track moment. That also happened. And well, in this last lap I was catching the guy in P8, and quite quickly at that, and you can see him there in front, and this was some really weird thing that was happening. I was noticing he was really slow out of that corner, and I don't know if he ran out of fuel or something, but he was, in my opinion, clearly off the racing line and very slow, and I just expected him to stay there. For some reason he then turned to the right, and well, I didn't have any time to react to that and just rammed into him. Felt a little bad for that, but then again I felt like he really made a very unpredictable move by, well, being off the racing line in the first place and then moving onto the racing line basically last second. Like, either he didn't see me or he wanted to block me. Not quite sure. Like, maybe you can tell me if I was in the wrong here, but I felt like there wasn't any other course of action that I could have taken, because I really couldn't predict that. No idea, but yeah, we are getting to the end of the race and actually managing to get up back to P8. Didn't expect that, I have to be honest here, but for some reason, yeah, well, as I had problems in the beginning, other people also had problems in the rest of the race, so actually managed to do kind of well here, considering where we started and where we fell back to. So yeah, wasn't too shabby in my opinion. But yeah, definitely I want to say, give these cars a try if you want to, but be aware they are tricky and difficult to drive. And as I said before, give yourself some time to practice. Just try to see what these cars are about, what you can and can't do, because they don't drive like your normal GT or touring cars, or even like the Formula Master that we were able to drive before. Very different in behavior. The grip level is very low, they still have a lot of power, and you really need to be able to control that power. And yeah, counter steer and have throttle control to be able to keep these cars on track. But definitely fun. If you're not in it to win it and just want to have some fun, I think these are very cool, because it's a very different experience to what we normally have in multiplayer. So yeah, I just wanted to show you this race, and I think I've rambled on for long enough. If you've made it this far, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. I've been HD Racing. Thanks a lot for watching.